The Beach Boys' new documentary was released on Disney Plus on May 24th. It opens with a concert in the 80s of the last time the entire group were together before jumping back to the beginnings of the band. I've noticed this with a lot of documentaries. They tend to start off slow and have a weak ending. Frank Marshall's documentary The Beach Boys is definitely guilty of this. It's not a bad documentary by any means, but it's not a great documentary. Straight away I cut down the opening montage that lasts 3.5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't an interesting montage of rare footage, it was all stuff we've seen before. If a montage is going to be this long, it has to keep your attention. The documentary really starts at around 5 minutes. We go through their childhood with some interesting stuff from Dave Marks, who I'd like to have heard way more from. It's funny looking at the early footage of the band, who apart from Dennis look nothing like surfers. Side note, Brian Wilson appears in the documentary briefly. He's obviously not able to give a comprehensive interview at this point due to his health, so we hear early recordings of him throughout the rest of the documentary. It's a real shame. It would have been brilliant to hear Brian go through the Beach Boys' history one last time. I guess this documentary came a few years too late for that, and now it won't be happening. For me, the early part of the documentary is a bit slow, nothing grabs me too much. Would have been interesting if they added some animation in there for their early stories rather than just stock footage. Kinda like they did with the Kurt Cobain documentary montage of Heck. The documentary picks up around 25 minutes in. Some interesting stories from Al with his reaction to the first time they recorded Don't Worry Baby, Marilyn talking about Brian, and the Wrecking Crew members talking about Phil Spector's techniques which Brian would emulate. One of the most interesting parts for me was when one of the Wrecking Crew said the difference between Phil Spector and Brian Wilson was Brian would rewrite parts as they were recorded, and the musicians were given free rein to create parts with Brian being able to fit them in. Dennis's alcoholism is touched on, as well as his relationship with Charles Manson. This is the only documentary they mention Dennis felt guilt for what happened. Interesting when they talk about Murray selling the Beach Boys songs and Brian's refusal to sue him. Dennis and Carl's death isn't mentioned, just in the ending credits, and it kind of ends in the 80s, though this documentary would have had to have been twice as long to cover from the 80s through to today, but I for one would have been happy to sit through another 1 hour and 50 minutes. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel. If you wish to donate, it would be greatly appreciated as this is my main source of income. Just click the 3 symbols next to the video, then the thanks icon, and however much you wish to donate. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for my next video.